In progress.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Before we begin, I want to ask town manager to announce the calls.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To begin, I ask everyone to ensure their phone is on silent. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the town's YouTube. For those in the room, it is important that you remain quiet unless participating in the discussion. And if you are participating in the discussion, speak audibly into your microphone. For those on Zoom, it is important that you keep your camera off and microphone muted unless participating in the discussion. If you are participating in the discussion, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera. If you are a resident and would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature. For speakers both in person and over Zoom, please state your name and the street that you live on for record keeping purposes before you make your comments. If this meeting gets interrupted for any reason, I will immediately end Zoom and send a new link via email. And now turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Oh, wait, I want to change the agenda.
So make a motion with an amendment.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to move forward from 7:35 to the first item at hand, the permit application submitted by Cherie and Tom Lawler. Because it is pretty cut and dry, whereas, you know, we've seen 4905 Cumberland several times, and it seems to take a very long time to get through. And so I think that they should be moved ahead. In addition, I would like to table the consideration of the introduction and adoption of a resolution to adopt a security camera policy, because I do not think that we're ready for an introduction, and I think that it needs to go back to the Public Safety Committee and any other committees, perhaps the pool committee first, so that they can kind of look at it and come up with, you know, some best practices, because it's a really big deal now with security cameras and, you know, what our policy should be. And I don't think that we should just rush to this introduction without involving our committee groups.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes, second.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. Excellent legislating. Okay, now we have our public comment period. So any member of the public, either in the room or online, that has a question or comment about. It's usually something not related to the agenda unless they can't be here for the agenda item. So is there anybody?
Yes, on
Oh.
Zoom, Matthew Zapp.
Okay, excellent.
Matt, do you?
Hi, Matt Zaff, Dorset Avenue, Chair of the Pool Committee, member of the Pedestrian Safety Working Group, member of the Swim Team Committee, but here more as a public citizen, and a legally blind public citizen who I want to make a comment in regards to the unobstructed sidewalks petition filed jointly by multiple committees about 2 years ago, and refiled again and again. And one of the things I just wanted to say is that in town, we are incredibly fortunate to have a wonderful walking community that makes life great for many of us. But there's certain parts of certain sidewalks, through no fault of the towns, that are unpassable or obstructed, that require people to step off them, strollers to not be able to pass, wheelchairs not to be able to pass. And unlike so many other aspects of town, there's a really easy solution, which is cut vegetation. We've been asking for this for a while now, and I just ask that the council please move forward. Please, no more debate. Please, no more discussion. Let's set a date and let's cut the vegetation that hangs too low, that extends too far out, that forces people off sidewalks. I ask that you move forward with this as soon as possible and that we start some cutting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to let the town manager respond.
Thank you for your comments, Chair Zapp, and don't have any comments on this at this time since it is on the agenda for later in the meeting.
So, okay, so were you Chair Zaf, were you planning to be here when the item comes up, the Safe Sidewalks Day?
Unfortunately, I cannot, and that was why I
Okay.
wanted to make sure.
Okay, excellent. So we will, those will be made part of the record. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is consideration of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Wait, didn't I already do that?
No, that was the.
No, that was the.
This is the consent agenda.
Okay,
So moved.
Is there a second? Your second.
second,
Is there discussion?
no.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So now we will move to the item consideration of the permit application submitted by Sherry and Tom Lawler for the property located at 5520 Trent to construct a one-story screen porch attached to the rear of the existing house. Okay, I turn it over to the town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fine. Yeah, on August 8th, 2025, Sherry and Tom Lawler filed a permit application to the town of Somerset for the property located at 5520 Trent. The applicants are seeking to construct a one-story screen porch on the rear of the house. The required advance notice to neighbors prior to today's hearing via email. And in the packet today is the notice sent to abutting properties, permanent administrator's report, the application and the plans. And I'll turn it over to the permanent administrator for his report.
Thank you. So this is a one-story addition to a contemporary house. The net increase in impervious surface area is 143.3 square feet. The actual new screen porch is over 300 square feet, but because of the removal of the concrete pad, which you can actually see in the aerial view I included in my report, the new impervious surface area is less than 150 square feet. So no stormwater management plan is required. We look at the side setbacks, rear setback, those are really the areas of potential concern. This is a modest addition. The new addition is 8.4 feet from the left setback, left side, 36.7 feet from the rear. Both of those are well within the requirements. So no variance is required.
That concludes. Okay, thank you. So now would the applicants like to come forward and identify themselves? Thank you for being here. And you can either comment on the report or add anything or whatever you like to do.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Tom Waller. Actually, pretty straightforward. We're just putting out a screened porch in the backyard. I think our designer has done a good job to make sure it's within all the different requirements. And hopefully it's a pretty smooth path forward to getting it done.
Okay, thank you. Council President Barr, do you have any questions?
I have no questions at all on this one.
Councilmember Kumar,
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Rovak,
No questions.
Councilmember Khanna.
No questions.
Did any citizen wish to speak?
So not speak, but two residents submitted a written comment prior to the meeting. Valerie Green, 5519 Trent wrote, "This is Valerie from across the street from the Lawlers at 5520 Trent. I will not be able to attend the meeting, but wanted to let the council know that I support this application." And then Magdalena Lucia, who said, "Thanks for the application. I received and reviewed over this weekend, and I'm writing fully support the enclosed screen porch project for the Lawler residents at 5520 Trent. I have no objections based on the plan submitted and hope the Lawler family enjoys their home for many years to come."
And that's up. So you read all that. Okay, so I think this is pretty cut and dried. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion that we approve the permit application submitted by the Lawlers for the property located at 520 Trent, construct a one-story screen porch attached to the rear of the existing house.
And that's.
Mr.
Is
Mayor.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing your beautiful porch. The next, yes, was. Okay, now we go to the hearing for 4905 Cumberland. So today is September 2nd, 2025. This is a hearing before the Town Council of the Town of Somerset for the building permit amendment application submitted by Guido and Charmaine Bracciali, who are seeking to amend their previously approved stormwater management plan to modify the driveway's upper slit trench to make it 12 inches higher than the pre-existing inlet drain. The approved plans have the driveway's upper slit drain at the same elevation as the pre-existing inlet drain along the property line with the uphill property, 4823 Cumberland. We asked that the hearing will observe the following order. The town staff will present findings and submit for the record a report on the application. The applicant will present their application or comment on the staff report. Then the town council will have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant or the staff relevant to the application at hand. Then other interested parties will have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant or present comments to the council. After that, if necessary, the applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal testimony, after which the public comment period of the hearing shall be completed and the record closed. And then after that, the council will deliberate and discuss amongst themselves the merits of the case, the findings of fact, and conclusions. The council may make a motion on a permit decision. If any opposition is presented, the town attorney will be asked to write a decision, and a permit shall not be issued before the expiration of 30 days to allow time for an appeal. If no opposition is presented, the town manager will be asked to issue a permit. So we now begin with the staff findings and reports, Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the June 3rd, 2024 council meeting, the town council approved the permit application submitted by Guido Bracciali and Charmaine Hassan Bracciali for the property located at 4905 Cumberland for the demolition of the existing house and construction of a new house. At the February 3rd, 2025 council meeting, the town council approved the permit amendment to add a detached garage, driveway, and an updated stormwater management plan. The applicant has now applied for a second permit amendment to modify the driveway's upper slit trench to make it 12 inches higher than the pre-existing inlet drain. The approved plans have the driveway's upper slit drain to the same elevation as the pre-existing inlet drain on the property line with that uphill property, 4823 Cumberland. I sent out the required advance notice to neighbors prior to today's hearing, and included in this packet is the notice, the permit administrator's report, the updated plans, written testimony submitted by the neighbors at 4823 Cumberland, and the application. And now turn it over to permit administrator Circa.
Good evening, everyone. And this is an interesting situation. One thing to start off with, I described the stormwater management plan as required by the town's code is to infiltrate all of the water generated or produced by a one-year storm event from the new impervious surface area of the structure, basically. So that's what the plan was providing for 4905 Cumberland, has a roof on the roof and a detached garage and a dry well in front and a rain garden in the rear. But Cumberland, as most of this town know, has stormwater issues. It's a steep hill. There's a lot of water that flows down, and there, in particular, for various houses on Cumberland and Dorset, there are issues with water flowing from one house to the next house. So what we're talking about here is the management of that water that's flowing from the uphill houses on Cumberland. It's sort of is an additive, unfortunately, an additive process. The plan or approach at 4905 is to capture that water and divert it through piping to the rear to a cutout that lets out through sort of a rock bed in the rear of the house, separate from the rain garden. This is really just an effort to slow down and divert the water. Back according to this county regulation and policy, talking with Montgomery County Department of Permitting and Services, you cannot install something that would dam up or prevent the flow of water from your neighbor's property onto your property. You have to let the water flow. So I pointed give some of that background to the situation. I'm just looking at the current question of the as-built as-built house, the as-built driveway. You know, there's a history to this project, there have been some issues that the council has deliberated on. But my purpose is I'm focusing on what's happening with that water flowing from, in this case, 4820 Cumberland down to 4905 Cumberland. And how much water are we talking about? I tried to do my own calculations. I did not actually find this in some of the reports, but CAS Engineering modeled they call it the uphill area of interest for the 823 Cumberland as having 647 square feet of pervious and 1,201 square feet of offsite impervious in sort of a trapezoidal area that would flow into 4905 Cumberland. In a one-year storm event, that would create, that area could create 1,947 gallons of water. One-year storm event is 2.6 inches of rain in 24 hours. So that's a lot of water. So now I took a look at the system. Pre-existing inlet drain, which was there prior to this project, had I believe it had a 4-inch drain, that the size of that, sorry, had outlet piping to go to the rear. It was extended to an 8-inch solid plastic piping. So if we're looking at a large inlet drain with that 8-inch piping, we could handle, the system could handle perhaps 900 gallons per minute of water. So a lot of water can go through that system. So if everything is working properly, there should be no issues with what's installed at 4905 Cumberland handling the stormwater. And by handling, I mean protecting it from backing up. That's my interpretation of the concern of the neighbors, is that if that inlet drain is clogged or the design is poor, then the water could rise at the elevation back up towards their house. So now let's talk about what happened. The original design was for the driveway to be at roughly the same elevation of the inlet, the pre-existing inlet drain, when it was parallel to that inlet drain, such that the trench drain located at the top of the driveway would be at the same elevation as that pre-existing inlet drain. That would have allowed water was flowing downhill, and water, for whatever reason, could not go through that inlet drain fast enough. The water would, in my mind, it would flow over to the driveway's other trench drain, and then could flow down. The driveway's trench drains also, so water would go over to the trench drain and it would be diverted or flow out of the area so that you wouldn't have any backup. Now that driveway is actually built as that inlet drain is located a little before, the trench drain in the driveway is located a little bit before the inlet drain and about a foot higher than the inlet drain. So the inlet drain, pre-existing inlet drain, is very much in a low point of the 4823 Cumberland's neighbor's property that's sloping down to the inlet drain, and the driveway is sloping up from the inlet drain. But the driveway continues down. There is a retaining wall on the side of the driveway between the driveway and 4823 Cumberland's property. That retaining wall is was built and corrected by 4905 to ensure that the top of that retaining wall it does not interfere with any water flowing off the 4823. 4905 Cumberland actually had to cut down some of the retaining wall, was built a little bit too high in a couple of portions. So the water coming down from 4823 could flow over the retaining wall. But I also believe there's that water that goes into the inlet drain. If the water flow is so great that the inlet drain, pre-existing inlet drain cannot handle that water flow, the water would go down 4905 Cumberland's driveway by the side of the retaining wall. Likewise, if that pre-existing inlet drain was obstructed by leaves or ice, I believe the water would flow down the side of the driveway, between the driveway and the retaining wall. I went to 4905 Cumberland this morning to run an experiment where I covered up the inlet drain, put plastic and rocks, and filled it up with water to see what would happen. And it was a partially successful experiment because, and I hadn't anticipated this, the retaining wall has a drainage piping behind it. So that water that's, you don't want the retaining wall to have all that water back behind it. And there's a retaining wall, and you want water to get out. So this piping goes to the pre-existing inlet drain. As if there was no stormwater event, that piping was empty. So some of the water that I was filling into the covered inlet drain was able to go into the outlet of the retaining wall piping. Hard to describe, hope that makes some sense. In reality, in a stormwater event, I don't think you could do that. I think that stormwater could be coming out of that retaining wall piping. Nonetheless, as the water rose, as I was doing this experiment, water was pooling on the driveway side of the existing inlet drain, not going up the hill towards 4823. I took some photographs which I can show if that's desired. But the bottom line of my assessment is that I concur with Montgomery County Army Permitting Services, who found that the as-built condition of the driveway will not interfere with the flow of water, stormwater from uphill. I conclude my
Mayor, moves that.
Okay, thank you. So now the applicant has an opportunity to present their application or comment on the report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can share.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. I don't know how many copies. Here.
Okay, I have a really brief presentation, like a few bullets. As I point out here, unfortunately, I received the document from EJ, the document from the neighbor, just on Friday. And then I didn't have enough time to go over the details. I took a look, definitely, no more. But basically, my experts are not going to be here. There was not enough time to give them notice, but I will provide a high level, basically summary of the facts. So an observation was raised to me by the neighbor about this difference of 12 inches between the two, the inlet and the trench drain. We met, me and the neighbor,
Steve, and then the Montgomery County stormwater management inspector, and then a supervisor. Then at that meeting, basically, the town of Somerset and then the Montgomery County stormwater management supervisor identified the path forward. So the path forward identified at that day by these two institutions was basically to reach out to Cast Engineering, get some information from them, pass it on to Montgomery County, and that Steve sent it to them. And then Montgomery County basically reviewed the information, made their assessment, and decided basically what I needed to do to pass the stormwater management inspection for Montgomery County. And we passed the inspection on August 1st. So as of August 1st, all the inspection has been passed and then successfully, and all the permits has been closed and finalized. Then the last step basically was to come here and get the approval for this 12 inches there. And like Steve was saying, Steve came to my house this morning just to do some sort of stress testing of the inlet, following basically the dock that was provided. And I was a little bit taken, I had the impression that all this information I just provided was not in the document provided by the neighbor. But I provided here a copy of a screenshot of the email from Montgomery County. And then the lawyer replied, thank you. So all the information that I provided in the prior slide basically was made aware to both the lawyer and me. So if you can move on to the next one. And this is another email. Basically, my neighbor asked a second time, or I don't know how it happened, there were two chains, I don't know exactly how it happened, but basically the stormwater management supervisor replied twice, saying that basically if we could move forward and we could finalize the permit. So if you can go to the next slide. This is the Steve Simpson is the stormwater management supervisor from Montgomery County, and then you can see at the bottom that he said we're closing the permit for 905, meaning that everything was fine, we passed, that's it. Oh, sorry. And Steve provided a lot of information, a lot of detail. This is just a picture. I don't want to say anything. This is just basically shows you the size of the inlet, original inlet that we're talking about. It's basically, it says 4 feet by 1 foot. So it's a big inlet. So it basically, a lot of water can definitely go in. Okay, move to the next one. And then, so this is just a summary, quick summary, and the inlet is 4 by 1. All stormwater management professionals at deemed the observation not to be an issue. And then all Montgomery County permits are finalized and closed. Simple things, basically just want to point out that during the last 12 months of construction, the town of Somerset reached out only once due to a portable toilet cover being partially physically removed by the wind. And there have been, in 4 months, there have been no incidents. And these are some pictures of the trees that we planted. Oh, yeah, we need one more slide. And this is the video that shows basically the rain. What, you know? Okay. You can feel the audio. Okay, you wanna, I think it's really exciting. So do you wanna share something with you? Technical difficulties. Okay. So basically, it's just a video that shows basically one day it was raining a lot, basically whatever. And then what you're gonna see, basically, you're gonna see that the water from the driveway is gonna go in the trench drain. And then between the trench drain and the inlet, there is no water, there's nothing moving. And there is some water coming from the neighbor going to the inlet. But it's, it's pretty normal, straightforward. There is no, pond or anything.
My bosses and stuff. I remember, so the one issue with the original video, maybe we can. Would you be able to, share some? I think that's maybe the easiest. You have to share.
So this was that it's not showing yet. Hey, you are younger, you want to. But this is the video. Yeah, I was. Hello, yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, it is not gonna, the roof to be.
The issue is that you can't share the media player app, because so you don't accidentally share copyright.
Oh, okay.
You can
I-
pass your laptop around
Okay,
to the
yeah, I'll-
council members.
Let's go from left to right. And then,
I'll just go.
it's 20 seconds, so it's not gonna be.
And then.
And then show it to me.
Mr. Tantra, we have to show it to the neighbor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that. So here is the water going into the trench drain, and then this is the inlet. And there is just a little bit of water coming from the neighbors, but the inlet is full water. But- And this is the trench drain is completely one foot.
And we will need to get a copy of the video for the record somehow.
We need each day.
Upload it
Here or.
down there, thank you. Yeah. Upload it. for the Google Drive or something.
Yeah, and the trench drain, this is the trench drain, 1 foot higher. Yeah, it's gonna go here, and this is the inlet. And then here is a little bit of water.
I thought,
Oh, okay, perfect.
I looked behind now.
Yeah, here it's not. Here is just a little bit of water. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Really high level.
Thank you. Before we proceed, Mr. Town Attorney, I was thinking that maybe it would be easier for the council if they heard from the neighbor before. What do you think? And then,
Yeah,
but how would that go in terms of the rebuttal? So the applicant would have the last word, right?
yeah, after the council questions and have a
So I
rebuttal.
think it'd be better counsel to hear from the neighbor before questions, so. Welcome, familiar face.
Yes. You're correct, this particular property does seem to take time every time we're here. Would you be able to pull up the first page of the letter, the August 29 letter that I filed?
Don't forget to identify yourself.
Oh, sure. Michelle Rosenfeld of the law office, Michelle Rosenfeld LLC. And I'm here on behalf of Dr. Borat and Dr. Ortiz, adjoining property owners. Okay, and what I'd like to focus on are the images at the bottom of that first page. And so I'm just gonna walk you through a little bit the elevations and what I'll be calling each of these items. I think it will help you visualize a little more clearly what we're talking about. So of the top of the driveway, you see the car, there is the driveway inlet, and that is clearly uphill from the other drain. Then we have the property boundary drain, which is the flat drain that's 1 by 4 feet that was described. And then you see that there are those, I'm calling it planking, I don't know what it is, but it's there to divert water. So the property boundary drain was there when Mr. Bracchiali bought. I apologize. I didn't pronounce your name. Bought the property. That property boundary drain existed and was installed by Dr. Borak with the consent of the previous owner. And the purpose of that drain was to allow the stormwater runoff that runs downhill across the Borak's property towards 4905. It's not only the stormwater runoff from his property, but his property also receives runoff from the property uphill. So that drain was never designed or intended to deal with stormwater runoff from a development, from a building permit, from this property or from the property next door. It was designed to mitigate a problem that pre-existed any of the redevelopment of 4905. So I want to make clear that this was intended to address a pre-existing problem that has nothing to do with the stormwater management code. The reason why the property, the driveway elevation was so important was because at a foot lower in a rain event that would allow for, that might overwhelm the driveway trench, the water would pool below the Borak property and give time for that water either to drain through the dredge or continue to flow downhill. In this instance, if that were to happen, then it would have the possibility of flooding uphill, water backing up uphill. The DPS staff, the email from Mr. Steve Simpson at DPS, who purportedly approved all of this, says in his email, as long as runoff from the upstream property is not blocked and remains able to flow downstream, we do not foresee any adverse impacts to the upstream property. Here's the issue with that. The planting that you see there will block uphill water. So if the property boundary trench gets overwhelmed, it will back up. It will back up to the Borak property. So the concern here is that the initial plan that was approved by this council, in fact, addressed both issues. It addressed an issue where you had a storm that would potentially overflow the property boundary drain, and it also had a design that would potentially address overflow if the driveway drain got overwhelmed. And the reality is that the plan that the council approved was the subject of a really specific hearing. The original stormwater management plan that had been presented had much greater impervious coverage on the driveway. Dr. Borak hired an engineer. We showed what the actual impervious coverage was and should be based on slopes, based on the town code. And as a result of that, the stormwater management plan, in fact, was modified. So the fact that there was so much attention by the mayor and council on the original plan, it was designed very specifically. It was modified for very specific reasons. And to now be here to justify why a plan that is so materially changed just because it was not installed properly is frankly quite frustrating. Particularly because from our perspective, the modification poses runoff concerns both ways. Runoff concerns if the driveway drain is overwhelmed, runoff concerns if the property boundary drain is changed. And so beyond that, this planking that you see is contrary to the town's own stormwater management guidelines, which prefer a gravity solution over a structured solution. Now, I've seen a lot of stormwater management plans and designs in my life. I've never seen one like this with this planking. DPS says as long as it's maintained, there shouldn't be a problem. I don't know how you maintain that. I don't know what maintenance of that looks like. And because it's on the adjoining property, if that planking falls or is damaged or gets full of leaves or ice and somehow impairs water flow, my clients can't do anything about that. It would be a trespass. So our request is that the driveway and the inlet be installed as it was originally approved by this mayor and council. We foresee problems in the future. The original plan would not have set that up. You have seen all of us multiple times. We would like not to have to come back here with a complaint that there are drainage issues resulting from this modified plan. And so for that reason, we would ask that you require that the original plan be properly installed.
I'll just be cool. Chris Ford, 4823 Cumberland. So, you know, this is obviously pain for all of us. I'm here and I don't really want to have to deal with how it's going to be maintained. I want the original idea of a downhill property to continue to be a downhill property versus me having to worry about stuff. Right? I mean, I kind of don't really understand why we can't just follow and enforce the rules that were agreed to. You know, it's pretty clear from the thing you sent around that gravity should take place with these structural things. There's been countless number of mistakes over the time. That driveway there is there because the trees were taken away without approval. That's where the tree is that we're talking about. Now we got this big thing coming down in this campsite solution after a year and a half discussion. You know, it just doesn't seem right to me. I don't understand why the process is what it is. It seems to, well, we're worried. I hope you guys said it.
Okay, thank you. Council President Barr, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. First, I'll talk to Bracciali, Mr. Bracciali. Why is it 12 inches higher than was approved?
The contractor made a mistake. It's such a little detail, and then it was there, the detail was there, written, but he made a mistake, and then they come out to be, I mean, usually the driveway comes down, you know, same slope, and then he didn't know this stuff.
So the contractor made a mistake?
Yeah.
All right. Is the wood that we saw there a permanent solution or is there another solution?
That's not wood, that's a stone,
Okay,
just a simple stone, no cement, nothing. It's a simple stone, and Mr. Boyd, when we met with the inspector and so on, he was saying, oh, he was explaining that from his perspective, there could be water coming from my driveway and going to the inlet. And then, and so since the stormwater management inspector, you know, he said, he heard that, he asked me to make sure that the water wouldn't go there. So I just put something together and then I asked him, it's all better. He said, it's fine. But That's it. I mean, like, I did what they asked me to do. That's it. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, like,
All right, thank you. That's all the questions I have for the moment.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Kumar.
Steve, other than the location of this driveway drain, what's the delta, the extent you can explain to us from the original plan to what's been implemented? What's the difference between what's been implemented in the original plan, other than the location of this driveway drain?
Well, that's, I think it's a great question, and actually, Mr. Flora alluded to what part of the issue, or part of the bigger picture here. So the entire driveway is built on a slightly different slope than was originally approved by the council. It's not just that this one trench at the top of the driveway is.
Okay.
So there's a different configuration to.
What is that difference in the slope? Do you have a sense of that? Is this a meaningfully different driveway at a different slope with a completely different location of the drain?
The driveway was never what we would consider to be a permeable surface.
Yeah.
It was designed to try to reduce impact, I guess, of water flows. It's not solid concrete. But now it's a slight higher slope. It's like an extra percent of slope. It's about 1 foot over 100 feet. That's just rough off the top of the head.
Okay, thank you. And then a question for Dr. Borak. We can ask all. Yeah, I like that. What, other than the removal of that stone, what would require resetting of, what would address your concerns for the water management of that property? So I didn't quite understand exactly what the request was. I understood the stones look makeshift and you wanted that addressed, but is there a specific request?
The basic request. The stones look sloppy, there should be something more work put into that. That was just.
So that's clear.
number one. But the basic request is, there was a 1.5-year project, as we all know.
Yes.
Where the entire heights of places were redesigned, and somehow, through a mistake, I now have a driveway that is partially above my ground versus below. So the water flow that I have to worry about, I used to count on gravity to kind of take it. Just like I get water from above, and all of a sudden, I am now, because of this mistake, I'm a partially uphill driveway that shouldn't be the case. It's real simple. It should have been downhill. They raised it a ton, and they ended up raising it too high. And we had a bunch of conversations about this throughout the rest of it, and eventually we got to the point where the wall was cut mostly below like it's supposed to be. But I mean, what was agreed to? I don't think anyone here ever agreed to a driveway that's gonna make a downhill property uphill and something I have to worry about the flow coming back in the event that, he doesn't maintain it properly. It's not how it's supposed to be. It's just a common sense thing. I don't know what the solution is. We talked about a solution. We had to have we had emails about it. And as soon as I had Michelle involved, because I can't spend more time on this project, I don't mind the money, it's the time, it's getting to be a problem. The communication stopped. I was willing to talk through and nothing came up, so I don't have an answer for you both of these.
No, you answer that. Mr. Rachale.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like the error is more than the location of the drain. It's the actual sort of layout of the driveway. But do you believe that there was an error in the actual layout of the driveway, as in it's sloped differently and it's at a different elevation than what was previously approved? Because sounds like that's the reason why the drain is located where it is. Or is it, in your assessment, just the location of the drain that's what's done in error, as indicated in the materials sent to us? Which one is it? Is it the driveway that was entirely done in error? Different slope, different elevation, as a result, the drain is in a different location? or the drain alone is in a different location?
And I think that if the drain was going to be a little bit closer to the inlet, and then if the contractor was going to pay a little bit more attention to go down and then have it like, I don't know, 3 feet flat, and then kept on going down, he was going to be able to, meet completely their original requirement. But it is difficult to ask, here we're talking about the second part of the driveway being 4.6%. And then you start from the top, might be, I don't know, 70, I don't remember exactly what the number is. So how can I, except for, saying, okay, this two needs to be at the same level, that's simple. I mean, how can you tell a contractor, oh, look, this needs to be 6% slope, this is 4% slope, this is 7% slope? I mean, I've never seen anything like this, not just in the town of San Jose code, but I never heard about, pretending the contractor to exactly follow to the little detail of the slope in any point in time. I mean, definitely, there was a note that was saying, these two inlets, the inlet and the trench drain are supposed to be at the same level. That's no doubt about it. When he told me, I didn't notice it. He told me, and then said, when he told me, we met, we decided path forward, we followed all the different steps. I mean, at this point, from my perspective, the stormwater management, Montgomery County Stormwater Management Department is telling me everything's fine. They approved the permits. I don't see a problem. We also did the stress testing then. We were able to see.
All of that is fine. I had a quick
Okay.
follow-up.
I'm sorry.
No worries. I had a quick, I'll come back to you.
Okay.
My quick follow-up was the image showed of what looked like a
Oh, for me?
makeshift, yeah, for you. That it looked like a makeshift stone, but somewhat makeshift
Yeah,
blockade.
absolutely.
What's your sort of thought process on how to address that piece of how that's set up? Should it be makeshift like that? Is there another way to address it? Have you thought about that?
I can put a different stone, a round stone. If you,
I
you
see,
don't like the
okay.
flat, you can put, I don't know, like. They
I
told me
see.
to do something, I
I see.
presented something, and then, it's not my expertise. I presented something, they tell me, everything's good. I mean, for me, everything's good. If Montgomery County is the only one that can approve my permit, I
Got it.
cannot make any decision.
Got it. And Dr. Burke, did you want to clarify a question I asked? Yeah.
Make sure just a quick point of clarification. The question about was the drain in the wrong place or the driveway? I'm not sure I followed your
Yes.
question, but I think my best assessment of it by looking at it is that the drain's in the right place. It's just a foot higher. So the whole driveway, whether it's
The driveway is at a different
driveway
slope.
Has
and
to
as a-
be off because it's starting a foot higher than it should be. I don't know if it's all a foot higher or if it's, a foot higher that converges down at some point later on. But I don't think that the best, like by recollection and casual observation, I think that the drain's in the right spot. That's not the issue. And the makeshift part of it is.
This is the
The
border,
second part
the
of your
border
question.
drain, the border.
Yeah, the second part of it is, there's the little strips of
Stone, yeah.
rock tile, stone tile that are, where there's just a piece of grass flopped up to kind of shoot it around. And it's like, I'm pretty sure the grass is not gonna grow permanently on that stone tile. That's not gonna last.
I had one more quick- I got it.
Block the stuff that's coming into our yard.
I had one more quick, you said something I'm reminded, you said you're concerned that in the long run, there will be additional concerns. Can you say clearly what you mean by that?
Just 1 second.
I'll repeat, no worries, you said that you're concerned over the long run,
Yes,
there may
my-
be, this
my-
is specifically around water pooling and stormwater, or is it a more general statement? Because if it's specifically, I would love to hear that. that there's
Well,
any
specifics
long-term
and there's
concern.
general, right?
Okay.
There's as Michelle pointed out, it gets clogged up, it's something we put in for the neighbors, largely on the
This is
neighbors
the
on
fence
their
drain,
side.
this is the fence drain being plugged up, the border drain, not the driveway drain, correct, when you said plugged up, the inlet?
So, sorry, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll try.
I'm a
to-
layperson and all
Well,
this,
no,
yeah.
because it's all very, I mean, the labels are all, there's the, call it up. There's the storm drain on the board that we installed.
Yes,
There's the, call it 4x4s or 6x6 walls uphill.
yes,
And then there's the retaining wall downhill that you put in.
I see, okay.
And so I'm not sure what you're asking about, but I can answer.
The one in the image with the makeshift stone around,
So that's
Yeah.
just a little wall around.
Yeah.
Pre-existing.
4x1,
Church. For,
Yes.
call it that.
yes,
So the concerns are, that's not gonna last. It's gotta, if it gets clogged up, it's getting water from uphill in our yard where it was supposed to be. It's also getting water from this driveway now that is there, not permeable, it's shooting stuff down. That part wasn't drawn into the design, so I don't know. And just like you were saying, part of your test, guess what? There's some surprises, you didn't really know how it's gonna work out. You never know. So you combine that with the fact that it's not, I think there's some stuff that's not exactly according to code, obviously, except what you're talking about. And there are numerous mistakes that I'm aware of now. And the easy solution is the common sense solution. If it was just going downhill, like the design, like we all kind of think a downhill property should remain downhill and not go up and come this way, it would be a problem. We wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be talking about this, but it's not. And I've seen it pull up during the construction, granted it wasn't all working, but it was pulling up in big ways. Trucks. I know you went out here, but I'm pretty sure that's not the complete solution. That's not what we've been talking about for a year and a half. So,
great,
yeah,
thank
I
you, thank you, I'm done.
Seriously.
Councilor Rovak.
Can we put back up that picture? The one, with the makeshift
On
stone.
the lawyer's letter.
Yeah, that one. Okay, so I guess my first question. So that drain there. And the wood was already there from you guys. Yeah.
I was going to tell you, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'll explain it. When we were moving in, the neighbor, this is all a foot down there. It was sloping very low, and they were concerned that the stuff was gonna go into there.
yeah,
And so they asked, what are we gonna do about it? We said, how do we do this?
yeah,
It worked, but it was this part here and this part here, not the obvious.
Yeah.
The makeshift part, so.
but the wood was yours that you put in.
I think technically it's there, because it's on that property, but we installed.
Okay, okay. And then now the slate makeshift thing, what happens, why is that there? Like, would you just remove it or can it not be removed? Like, I'm curious, I don't know who to ask, I guess maybe.
It's just a stone.
Like,
It's
so
just it's a
is it
flat
there
stone
for like,
pad. That's it, just a stone. I mean, like, it's
It's
not.
there at the request of the inspector to divert the water coming from uphill down.
so
That's
where
the
does,
design.
so
It's
that
meant to be-
diverts it,
This water's supposed to go down there, but it's not necessarily gonna do that. That's what he said, that's what.
oh, so it's taking the driveway water and making sure that it doesn't go into that drain.
Making sure it's a strong word.
It was, I mean, you saw the videos.
Well, hold on, she was asking, and you'll be able to rebut, so. Let her ask the attorney.
So I guess, so the DPS person asked for that stone to be put in so that the water stays in along the driveway line and doesn't go into Dr. Borak's lawn.
Correct.
But now your concern is that then that blocks the natural form of gravity, which is what there was nothing there before.
Correct.
And so that would have just gone through and then the goal is to hit that drain. But then the overflow would continue going down in that way.
Continue going downhill to what had been designed as a downhill driveway that is now level with or up there. So basically, that boundary drain that you now see is almost in a valley. It's gonna get from both sides, and the stone that you see there is intended to keep the driveway drainage from backflowing
Into this part.
the
Can I clarify?
If I-
You
if I-
continue to
if
speak
I
out
was-
of order. The idea was that this here and this were supposed to be the same height. This is a foot higher. If this was a foot lower, there would be no concerns about water from here flowing down. So this was put as a kind of a makeshift stop, to stop that from happening. But it wasn't part of the stormwater management calculation by that I, at least on my understanding.
So where that drain was in front of the car was supposed to be at the same elevation as that.
Yeah, that's what
So then
Councilmember Kumar, as I always call
it would
him.
be,
That's what he was asking about. That was supposed to be a foot lower and everything else was supposed to be.
okay. And then on the drain that you guys installed, where does that go?
It would be like in front of the car. The drain goes from here, 10 feet.
And then
long.
where does that water go?
The water goes basically, there is a pipe, 10 inches pipe or something like that. Basically bring the water from here all the way to the back of my property, in our property, in the bio protection.
And then where does the drain water from there go?
It still goes through my property, I pay for a pipe to go all the way down at the bottom. of
So,
my-
so you got, so the 8-inch that you were talking about, that's now hooked up to this drain.
Correct.
That the neighbors installed,
And it goes all the way down.
and so they allowed, so I guess. Was there already going like that? Okay, but you just upgraded the pipe
Correct.
volume of that.
Not only that, it was done with one of those black pipes.
Mhm, mhm.
That sort of, then, but we put a PVC pipe, so there is, there is no obstruction, so it goes straight.
But you have to have that stone up because that's a requirement of DPS, this permit. Like, what if you were to just remove that?
For me, we gotta move it. I mean, I showed you the picture when it rains a lot. There is no water that pass the first trench drain. We saw, I mean, I showed the video, I don't know if you want, we can see it again. There is no water that pass here. So
Then
this
why,
is not,
but why, I guess, why did the DPS, why did they make you put it there then?
it's just the neighbor was concerned. And he was saying that the water from my property go in the inlet. And so I put this. And then because
Oh, so it's like
the
kind of like
inspector.
Double
heard,
dipping the drain.
And so he was saying, just try to keep the water on your side. So just to make sure that the water stays on my side, I put this. But the inlet is 4 feet long, as we were talking about. This is a small stove. So like if the inlet is 4, even if there is 2 feet opening that basically face my property and allow the water to flow easily on my property. I mean, I don't see absolutely any problem, and it's not me, I mean, I don't count. I can have any billion's opinion about it. Is the cost engineering that it's okay. And then the inspector, the supervisor says, okay, that's pretty much it, I mean.
Passes something?
Mhm.
So is that the stone things, are they a condition of the permit? or-
Did you have any more questions? The Councilor,
Yeah.
Councilor Rovak, Councilor Rovak, are you still asking questions?
Well, I wanted, I guess, the same question, is that a condition of the permit?
I mean, I didn't receive anything in writing, they approve it. That's it, I mean, they don't say, oh, the only condition was what, cost engineering provided to to Montgomery County. And then Casa Engineering said, it's okay if the water, the runoff can go down my drive. So that's the only requirement there is nothing. This stone is the stone that is there, that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
There's. One, yes.
Do you have a que- you want to answer? Yeah, it's whatever you want.
Go ahead. So there's two things going on. This has been put here at the request of at the request of same Steve.
See,
The county person, because it's meant to block the stuff that's coming here. This looks like, you know, the slope is weird. A lot of the water can come this way, basically, if you just eyeball it, right? So in theory, this was all supposed to be downhill, and all the water from up there would be going down the driveway, which is lower. But that's because it was built higher. This thing was, according to that guy, put there. So it would stop it from going. I don't have a lot of faith that that's gonna last, but that was the logic. Okay, it wasn't, but then it blocks this stuff from
Mhm.
flowing over.
Mhm.
So if it's coming this way, so it's, you know, you gotta get kind of lucky. on
So
that.
is there an opening of that like isn't covered, that like the water would then go through that opening?
I'm not sure I follow that. In theory, if this drain is working well, then it should go. But if it's not working well, and I've seen it not work well, then I'll flip up around like that.
Well, right, but so like, see where that tip ends or whatever, right there, is there like, is there
Oh,
not?
there?
I,
No, it's kind of all.
is there a place where they're not blocking the water? Or is it like straight across that it's, the full water is blocked?
I mean, so this is about 4 or 5 inches roughly, and it's below that the whole way. You can't.
it is covering less than half.
Less
Definitely
than
less than
half.
half, for sure less.
So there is a break.
Yes, then, I mean, Steve probably can provide more information. He's done stress testing on this inlet.
And so this truck just goes to that point, there's less than
Half.
1.25. There are two sections of that type of cutout metal. There's just like a 1-inch high lip here that then ends. So at the lower end of this 4-foot long inlet drain. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there is any flagstone or other obstruction.
So the water then would go with gravity like towards that opening.
That's it.
No, because it's still below the driveway.
Perhaps we should pull up some pictures I took today
Yeah.
that I emailed to you, Jill.
Do you have those? Mr. Rosenfeld, do you have those pictures?
No, that I didn't, I wasn't sure whether or not I'd be able to show the pictures.
Yeah, they're not in the record now, but the council can decide whether they should be admitted and Ms. Rosenfeld should, if they are admitted, Ms. Rosenfeld should be given the opportunity to review them.
Right, but right now, Councilman Rovak still has the floor. But do we need to, what is your request, Mr. Town Attorney?
So the record hasn't closed yet,
Right.
so these additional materials can be
So can
considered.
Councilman Rovak
But-
request that?
Can I
But
request?
the interested parties should be given an opportunity to review them.
Right, so is that what you're requesting?
Sure.
You can request it, right?
To see the pictures?
And then the other side, the neighbor has to,
Yeah.
and the other neighbor.
EJ can put them up on the screen.
Okay.
Was it too large a file, didn't make it to you?
No, it's here, it's the computer that's.
How many photos are there?
That's sort of like the last picture of the series. But I think, I'm going to go next question is sort of, what's the layout of the border around the lecture?
Which kind of picture?
So-
Yes.
I could just go to that one. So, I've got the plastic covers it up. So you can see where this is where that border piece is, right there, that they're talking about. I found water just escaping around my attempt to clog it up initially, so I have to cover more of the drain area. So with it covered both sides like that. Now, you know, so the other picture.
Is the window, is that a window behind it?
Yes.
And that's a window to your house?
Yes.
Your basement window or
Yes.
something?
It's been
So-
11.
This is a picture, so the inlet drain, pre-existing inlet drain is just underneath that, that's where it ends. This is the retaining wall drainage piping, a standard sort of 4-inch corrugated plastic like Ella was talking about. Some of the water was going into that piping. The rest of the water was coming over here. It was just flowing by gravity over here. It's not being blocked by any walls, any bricks, any
And
water's flowing here.
So hypothetically, if they were to remove that stone, then that would just, in your opinion, would water go towards their house or towards their house because of gravity? Like, who's the water being contained by, like with that barrier?
Yeah, that barrier was,
It turns into a hole. It's.
It feels like it would be, I mean, I don't really understand all the, the elevations or whatever, but like, it feels like it would block the upstream water more than that downstream water. Like, it's holding back the water from his property versus, I don't know.
My understanding, the intention is that little extra wall or the extra stonework and the buildup of the landscape in that area was intended to divert water flowing down 4905's property on the side of the drive. So between the driveway and that wooden border that you noted, some amount of water would be flowing down that little rock.
So it would be like to
wall.
put a burn there or
It's
something.
like yes, this is, that's this. Right,
Dr. Bora, can you email that to EJ, please? Thank you.
You want to share
Yeah.
Off to the
it? Or? Because you think you can get it up quickly?
Yeah, before it now, I can, get it up.
personally, I don't think it has, it's not a very significant change to the scope of the property in that area, so I don't think it has much impact. But it probably breaks some amount of water, if there is water in the dam.
And then just as like can I just ask like a general building question?
Will you ask to the town attorney?
No, I
Answer.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
So in general, like when new houses are being built, and they put in these elevations, like, don't they have to be followed? I mean, like, that's my, constant fear is, like, like your house is down below and then you build a house and it's up above now all of a sudden, like, doesn't the elevations matter?
That's a great question, and when it comes to things like a height check or a wall check, all of these measurements are taken, and the building construction is expected to be within plus or minus 0.1 of a foot, basically in an inch of whatever the plans were.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that off the top of my head, the drawings for 4905 for the driveway indicated that should be plus or minus 0.1 for being at the same elevation.
Uh-huh,
So this is
a change.
a change. This is a change.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other
Okay,
questions.
thank you, Councilor Khan.
Yes, thank you. So I just want to. Ms. Rosenfeld has referred to prior council discussion and the permit was approved and so on. I think quite a few people in this room were part of that conversation. So I just want to just get the facts straight. Does everybody in the room here, and I was not here, agree with the presentation by Ms. Rosenfeld that there was an explicit discussion regarding the design and height and stormwater and so on and so forth that is in her memo? Does anybody dispute what is said here regarding prior council discussion and understandings?
Yes, something specific.
I'm asking the building administrator, I'm asking
I think
the
Ted's-
neighbors,
Ted's-
does anyone dispute this?
Town attorney.
So I think the council members should certainly respond, but to the extent it helps
Yeah, the
Frame
council
the-
members can respond later. but
frame the
others in room,
question.
Yeah,
and anyone in the room obviously as well. So I think an important question for the council to answer, as you're intimating, was the boundary drain inlet part of the approved stormwater drainage plan? Was the applicant prevented from regrading? Does the town code prevent the applicant from regrading the front yard such that water may enter that boundary inlet?
But let me just ask.
Well, let me-
Yeah, sorry.
One other important fact here. So we have a permit decision that was signed March 18, 2025, and let me read from paragraph 2, the findings of fact. The town's stormwater consultant, Bayland Consultants and Designers, Inc., has reviewed the amended plans and confirmed compliance with the town's stormwater management requirements. Notably, the rooftop surfaces, including the new proposed detached garage, total 5,022 square feet. A one-year storm event would generate 790.7 cubic feet of runoff based on that surface area. The plan includes the following ESD practices: landscaped infiltration, treating 642.5 cubic feet, and a dry well, treating 185.2 square feet. Those practices will treat a total of 827.7 cubic feet of runoff during a one-year storm event. A structural dry well is proposed because there is not enough remaining space on the lot to incorporate non-structural practices to treat the entire required volume due to the location of improvements and the presence of underground utilities. And so I point that out because the town code expressly requires a plan to provide on-site infiltration for all runoff from all rooftop surfaces. On-site infiltration must be provided for a one-year storm event. So I think an important question again for the council to ask is that boundary inlet part of the required stormwater drainage plan? Did that enter into the calculation of the required runoff? Or is it perhaps a neighbor to neighbor issue with respect to the agreement as to what that boundary inlet was to do and whether or not it can be modified?
But that's part of the discussion when they deliberate.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm just
So right
trying
now,
to
we should-
help frame the question from a
But he
legal
can-
standpoint.
He can ask that question to the staff or applicant or the neighbor. Right,
Yes,
is that what you want to do?
yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking the applicant.
Yeah.
whether they dispute anything regarding the history of the council approval as presented by Ms. Rosenfeld. Is there anything in this memo that you dispute regarding the facts of the history of the approval, the council's discussion and decision whenever this was approved?
As I said at the beginning, I didn't have the opportunity to read through
Okay, I mean, then
in
maybe
detail,
we just,
but I wanna say something, and let me see if I can share something. On the request. The facts, I mean, from my perspective, is, everybody knows, that you cannot basically present anything from the council without, Bayland approval and so on. So we presented the stormwater management plan, and we were asked to provide a slope from top to bottom. We provide a slope from top to bottom was more than 5%. And so we said we were going to put cement in the driveway. Also because Montgomery County is strict. They say 10 feet from the house, you cannot put any pavers whatsoever. For me, it was cement, pavers, doesn't matter, tell me what I need to do. And so we went with cement. The plan was reviewed by the town experts, approved by town experts, the town, then also from the town stormwater management consultant. Then the neighbor provided a different approach and then cut our driveway in 3 different pieces, and then in basically said, okay, oh, this piece is X, this piece is Y, this piece is a different amount. And then we were asked, because the lower part was less than 5%, the lower part being more or less from here to here, was less than 5%, we were asked to go to Montgomery County and ask them to put pavers. And then Montgomery County said, no pavers, no permeable pavers, you can put in there, because 10 feet from the house, you cannot do it. And so the only area that we were forced to put pavers was this area in red. So the only change from the original stormwater management plan has been pavers in this red area.
Sorry,
That's it, that's the
sorry,
only change.
I'm sorry, Mr. Patel, just to, I
Okay,
want to be
that's-
specific here, because I understand you're saying you did not have time, but the council has taken the time to read every word that has come before us today.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to go into a discussion about who's had enough time or not. There's a specific paragraph, and I want to understand, do you agree or disagree with this? At the February 3rd hearing, Mr. Borek specifically asked the property owner's engineer about the drainage inlet and whether it would continue to drain water from his uphill property, and was assured that the inlet would remain and the plan as designed would continue to allow runoff to flow downhill from my client's property and across the property, your property, and new driveway. So what this says is that you provided assurance that water would flow
Absolutely.
from Mr. Borek's property, not only into this inlet, but also onto your property and onto the driveway, consistent with, I think, what Steve was saying, which is generally speaking, when you have a hill, the idea is that you should not be changing the grade or slope or anything to have damming or anything like that. The driveway therefore is like a dam because if I understand correctly, given the height of the driveway, it could not flow across your property
That's
and your
correct.
driveway.
That's
Is that
incorrect, because the Cast Engineering, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, Cast Engineering reiterated that runoff water from the neighbor is supposed to go down my driveway. And that's what we work on today, this morning, to prove that basically if a 4x1 inlet is totally clogged, can the water go on my side rather than rising? That's what was proved, the water came to on my side. So, and that was a requirement.
But sorry, just to be
Yes,
clear, did you provide this assurance to Mr. Boric on February 3rd? I just want to be clear because we're coming back and reopening something that this
Absolutely.
council already discussed. So I want to be understand, did you provide an assurance that runoff from his property would flow downhill across your property? Did you provide this assurance? Because this is what it says. I understand CAS engineering and all this current, but I just want to understand what assurances were provided on February the 3rd when this permit was issued.
I don't know if me or the CAS engineering provided this assurance, but I can assure you that basically that's a condition for Montgomery County to approve my permit. It was a requirement to get my permit approved. So the runoff water goes from him to me, absolutely no problem. And then it's been vetted, reviewed, or whatever by stormwater management professionals. And so they professional, not me. I'm not here to that's my opinion, but it's not just my opinion, but a stormwater management professional said, yes, the runoff water can go from the neighbor property to my property, no problem. And we basically, with Steve, we met this morning and we verified that the water can come to my property, no problem, and it doesn't rise. So the assurance is there.
Okay, thanks. So just to ask Steve, just to clarify. What exactly is the role of Montgomery County in this permitting process here? Could you just clarify this for me? What are they signing off on? Because this permit was here, I mean, a lot of this conversation is about what the council approved. And now we're having a separate conversation of what DPS has signed off on, just for my benefit, and maybe others here, just what exactly is their role?
Our permitting services inspects and certifies, and eventually they assess the plans for any new project. And then once you have an approved project, you have a permit issued or a set of permits, the council will issue different permits, just like the town does for different aspects of the project. There's building construction, it might include mechanical and electrical, and you might have, in this case, for 905. There's also stormwater management, sediment control. So the inspectors are assessing the planned stormwater management system. And most importantly, in my perspective, they provide the on-site inspection that the rain garden is installed correctly and the dry well is installed correctly. It's like paint built up in layers with special materials at each layer, the correct depth of each layer. The county inspects that. And then they assess the final end product before they that's the term, they finalize the permit. And in this case, they had a couple of meetings. We had meetings that we scheduled with 4905 and 3823 Cumberland, and Park Permitting Services, sediment control, looking at this specific issue.
So if I understand correctly, DPS is saying that this change in the height of the driveway has no negative impact in terms of allowing runoff to flow downhill from Mr. Borek's property and across the Bracciale property and the driveway. Is that what DPS is saying?
That's, yes, I believe that's what they were saying. If I may add,
Yeah.
they also went through a process to come to that decision. They insisted on a revised assessment and statement from Cass Engineering, from a professional engineer, Cass Engineering, to that effect, that there, as long as there's no clog, everything is okay.
As long as there is no clog in both drains, the slit and the inlet. Presumably,
Yes.
right? Both drains.
For a 1-year storm.
Or when you're swimming.
And our Somerset stormwater requirements are more stringent than the county's. But the county is able to give us this certification based on what? I mean, they don't follow our standards, so how do they know what they're talking about?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
They are only expecting to the county code limit.
There you go.
So what does that mean? That means for the sizing of the dry well and the rain garden, they were sized larger to satisfy the town. And then DPS verified and inspected to make sure that they were built correctly. But when it comes to a question of does the inlet drain flow, allow enough water to flow from uphill? DPS is not looking at, I do not believe that they're looking at Somerset's when you're storming that, they're looking requirements for water flow, which is less.
And so do we have that look? Are we able to say that the inlet and the inlet and the design as it is now would be okay in a 1-year event?
That's what Cass Engineering confirmed. I believe that their assessment is correct. But just reiterate, I am not a professional engineer at this time. I was in the past. I'm not licensed to practice professional engineering, and I rely on the judgment and analysis of professional engineers.
So just my last question, I think for you, Steve. If this was a new application, what would we be doing? What would we be asking for, and what would the documentation requirement be? What analysis would be required? This is brand new. This was
Lessons learned.
no, but if, for example, if the applicant had come with a request for a driveway 12 inches higher than where it is, 12 inches higher, where it is today, what would we have asked for?
If I understand your question correctly to be, if the plans had been presented for it to be 1 foot higher as it is now built, we have asked other questions at the time. If Cass Engineering had approved it at that time, I was not in this position, but I probably would not have asked further questions.
Thank you.
I think you want to do another round. Did you want to ask another question?
I think you probably asked. Does anybody else want to ask further questions?
No, but you,
I don't.
okay.
You're not interested in.
Okay,
No, but
so hold
she
on,
can ask the
hold on
chair.
a second.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do now is, we're gonna close the questions from the council, and now
Is there anybody else who want to testify?
were there gonna be rebuttals or anything at this point? or we
Yeah,
done?
but I just want to see if anybody else. Okay, so I think what we should do at this point is have, I think the neighbor wanted to speak. And then we'll get a final rebuttal if necessary from the applicant, and then we'll close the record.
Thank you. EJ, could you pull up page 3 of the letter that I filed? I'd like to focus on the 2 images shown on that page. And I'd like to use these 2 images to show, to answer directly the question, Councilmember Khanna, that you had posed about water continuing to flow downhill from the uphill property. There is an existing inlet to remain at an elevation of 273.7. And I'm going to walk up to the image just for a moment. The inlet to remain 273.7 elevation. Top of proposed trench drain to match existing inlet, 273.7. That is both this drain here and the drain in the driveway. Meaning that everything that's uphill, 275, 276, the uphill Borek property would drain this way, not only to this drain, but continue to flow across the driveway. The proposed amendment, and EJ, if you could show the image below. The proposed amendment deletes that requirement. The reason why it deletes that requirement is because this driveway drain is now 12 inches higher than the pre-existing inlet. It can no longer flow downhill across that property. The reason why this is important, and I know there has been a lot of discussion about DPS, there's 2 things I want to say about DPS. DPS has Montgomery County stormwater standards, and it enforces those, and it conducts inspections. The town has its own standards. This is a town permit. These are standards that were adopted by the town. And so you have independent review and authority to consider and determine whether or not you want to modify this plan in a way that no longer allows stormwater to run and flow downhill, including across the driveway. It's not just my representations. I will proffer that I asked that question of Cass Engineering at the hearing, specifically because I wanted to know the answer. And that is the testimony that I recall that he gave. The other thing that I want to point out is that even though DPS has signed off on this plan as being compliant with their regulations, it's with a caveat. And Steve Simpson from DPS has said they received the following statement from the engineer. As long as runoff from the upstream property 4823 Cumberland Avenue is not blocked and remains able to flow downstream across 4905 Cumberland Avenue, we do not foresee any adverse impacts to the upstream property. That's a caveat. Now, how will this makeshift repair affect the ability to flow, to block or not block the flow? I really think, honestly, that's a red herring. The reality is the driveway is now a foot higher, and the property and the water can no longer flow downstream, across the side of the driveway, and across the driveway itself. That was the intention, that was the representation, and that was the design. So again, we would ask that the property be restored to or built to the standards that were applied by the council after some very lengthy discussions about this driveway and about this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, rebuttal.
Yeah, and if you can keep it. I was looking for the same picture.
Remember, your rebuttal is not, and it has to be new information, not restating what you've said before.
I just wanna, I just. need
And
to-
I'll let the town attorney rule whether it's appropriate rebuttal.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
So, cost engineer analyzed the situation like it, and then like they wrote here, they said. This trench drain is 12 inches high, there's no doubt about it. But then, like they say here, they say contractor, sorry, I didn't do that. Contractors own it to ensure runoff from upstream property. And so on, and then it's basically, it's not blocked and then remains able to flow downstream. So. Montgomery County Stormwater Management Inspector and Supervisor, they came and verified the runoff water from my neighbor property and flow through my driveway. So. Basically, there is no issue. If the expert, they're saying that the water can flow through my property, no problem. Honestly, I don't know what else I can use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So this concludes the public portion of the hearing. The record is now closed. The council may now discuss and deliberate on the findings of fact and conclusions of the law and may vote on the application. And I will turn it over to the council president to lead the discussion.
Right, so what we're discussing, remind you, is variation from the approved plan in which the elevation of the driveway is 12 inches higher upper than it was in the approved plan. And that's it. That is what we're currently trying to consider. So, anybody got any thoughts as we try to find out where we are on it? Anybody want to go first?
Certainly, yeah. Could the town attorney repeat the points he made earlier? My mind was a little bit focused on my questions then. I think you made some very important points and issues that we need to think through, and maybe you could just repeat those points for us.
Sure, so Councilmember Khanna, after my attempt to frame the issue, you framed it better than I did. You said if this application was presented for the first time today, would we approve it? Basically, that's the question for the council. You're asked to approve this amendment to the plan. And so, do you find that the prior permit approval and the prior approval of the water drainage plan should stand based on the issues raised and arguments made tonight? In other words, is the elevation of that trench drain an important part of the water drainage plan to be approved by the town?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're all very silent. Let me try to frame it this way. We've heard from the neighbors a real concern that their inlet drain is going to be inundated by water flowing from the now elevated driveway. That's what they're complaining about. We've heard from Mr. Bracchiali, and from Steve actually, that all indicators so far is that the water actually flows away from the inlet drain across 4905 property. And it's been demonstrated in a rainstorm, and it's been demonstrated in Steve's little experiment that's happened. That's what we have to confront us. So where do we go from here? That's what I'm saying.
I was thinking that it's very clear from the testimony that the drainage is going to change. than what we originally approved. We don't know specifically, but just take the one fact that now that the border drain is in a valley. That wasn't supposed to be the outcome as per the original plans, just as one fact. We are not experts, but that suggests a different drainage. That alone suggests a different drainage. So the drainage has changed because of the way the driveway has turned out and the elevation of the driveway. So I kind of think what's on my mind is, one, can we assess whether the new setup now actually does meet our requirements for stormwater drainage, because we don't have that assessment. We have the DPS assessment and we have your wonderful experiment, but we don't have a engineering based experiment. That's one option we have. If we believe the drainage has changed, you guys may not believe that, but I'm going with the assumption that it has. The second option we have is to say it has changed and ask for an action. And that action could either be the drainage has to be improved, but I don't know against what benchmark, or it has to be regraded back to the original plan. I'm not saying these are my preferences, but this is what's on my mind as the way this plays out. Assuming that the drainage has now, I don't want to say deteriorated, but changed because of how the driveway has been graded.
Right. Shannon, your thoughts?
I guess I just don't understand why, like, I mean, no offense to you, but like that the contractor can mess this up so much, like.
Yeah, I think, in all honesty, what the contractor was doing was what, when people build driveways, do all the time, which is that they try to have as level a slope as they can going down the hill. And if you had the driveway level with the inlet drain, you would have to have that dip.
But I mean, aren't contractors supposed to follow the plans that they're given?
I haven't known the contractor yet for the plans exactly, in all honesty.
And I mean, like, how do we like prevent this from happening, like, you know, in these new builds and
Well,
stuff?
I mean, what happens is it comes back to us and then we have to decide, and here we are having to decide.
I think that's a good question. I think on driveways, it's a good, I don't think there is any practical way in which we can really intervene and prevent that. That's what comes to my mind. If there was a practical way, we should do it. But like, other than we show up at that moment when it's
No, but-
actually being,
But what we're all, I mean, what we're all forgetting is like this plan was very piecemealed. And so
Yeah.
if it had come originally as to us as the full plan with what we were gonna
I
do
hear
with
you.
the driveway.
I hear you, yeah.
With what we were gonna do with all of those things, you know, that's different than now just isolating this driveway, because that's what we were forced to do along in this process anyway, was isolate the driveway.
Yeah.
Because there was an add-on. So if it was all just one giant whole plan, that was like, you know, from the beginning, would the contractor then have followed that? I can't, no one can answer that, but it just seems, I don't know, I think that contractor is not really following things.
Yeah, I think, here's what I see. A few things to say. First, I look at Cass Engineering's text in red in, the page 3, figure 4 of Ms. Rosenthal's notebook. New trench was not installed, etc., and it says, to ensure that not blocked and remains able to flow downstream across. Now, here's the thing. This text in this box requires a lot of understandings amongst the neighbors. You shall do this, we shall do that, and if we all do our fair share, then it will be okay.
which
This is
text is this, sorry?
Figure 4 on page 3 of Ms. Rosenthal's. Now, it was on the screen earlier.
This one?
Yes,
This text?
yes, exactly. Right, yes. So this is, in plain English, taking away engineering speak with all due respect. This is what it says, as long as it all flows and is not blocked, is able to flow downstream across 4905 Cumberland, everything is fine. Now, we are here today, having to make a judgment that this will all be okay if the neighbors do what's in this box. Personally, I don't like that. I don't think that we should be approving things that rely on doing this or that unless the town attorney can come up with some sort of I don't know, legal agreement or something that you will maintain this in this way or maintain that in that way. I don't know what path we're going down here. So this is the first thing, is that this text requires two parties to act in good faith, make sure everything is done right, the drains are maintained, not just these neighbors, but in the future and so on and so forth. I'm not comfortable with that. The second point I'll make regarding DPS. Frankly, DPS's assurances aren't worth a sheet of paper this has been printed. I'm sorry, I take my glasses off. We observed the area of concern this morning after yesterday's rain event. Observed a rain event. How much rain? Not said. So in other words, no data from observation. I don't know what kind of an engineer or a scientist or a technical person writes, I observed something with no data. The area has drained as intended. Intended for what? I mean, the intention was a 1-year storm event. Unless you're telling me that that rain event on that particular day was the equivalent of that 1-year rain event, I don't see how Mr. Simpson can say as intended. No standing waters observed as well. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much rain there was on that day, but to me, this doesn't really mean anything. The third point I will make. I think water runoff, as I think, Steve, you said at the beginning, water runoff on Cumberland and other streets in this town is a serious problem. I have strong reservations about approving any change in the slope along Cumberland Avenue. If anything should happen on Mr. Borick's property as a result of this, I will feel terrible. I don't want to feel terrible. I don't see the rationale for this change. If the applicant had come and said, there is a reason, there's a difficulty, there's a problem, because of the way the topography is, because of the material used, we had to do it this way, I would say I'm happy to discuss this. But if for a mistake,
It sounds like you're prepared to make a motion.
I am prepared to make a motion.
It's a nice speech, but we can't be around.
And I will close with that.
Okay, excellent. So you're
I'm proposing a motion to reject the application.
is that?
Not approved permit.
Yes.
Is that, okay, so a second.
I second.
Is there discussion?
Right, I'm not gonna vote for this one. And I'll explain why.
Well, you don't have.
Well,
Part of
Yeah,
the
it's-
discussion.
So say your
discussion,
reason,
so
say your
My
reason.
reasons. First of all, what we're talking about is 4905. And that's really all we're talking about. We're not talking about 4823. The only reason it comes in is because there's been a claim that there'll now be runoff to 4823 from 4905. I have seen evidence to suggest that if there is any such runoff, it hasn't yet been observed, and all observations so far suggest that it is in fact flowing through 4905 as intended. I'm going to go with the evidence that we have rather than hypotheticals in the future in that way.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion?
Wait,
Is there
hold on.
further discussion?
Yes, there is further discussion. Go, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, it's more about the plans that were set versus the plans that were executed. It's not about whether or not we think runoff, you know.
But it's certainly different from the plan that was set. What we're debating is whether to allow it. And I'm going, is there a reason not to allow it based upon how the flow of water has changed? And I'm saying that in theory, you could say, yes, the flow of water is going to change because the highway is elevated 12 inches. But all the evidence we've seen, including from a significant rain event, in fact, is that the water still flows from 4905 as intended.
I'm sorry, what is a significant rain event? How much rain did?
Well, I don't know, it was a heavy, I was actually in Scotland at the time, so I can't tell you
So
how
how do
heavy
we
the
know it's
shower was,
significant?
but it was pretty heavy shower.
How do you know how much rain it
I have a
was?
follow-up question on this for Shannon and Rohit. Which is that if we say that we don't want to amend, we don't accept this amendment, what is our collective understanding of what happens next? What's your understanding?
My understanding is that there was a permit issued and the driveway will need to be built according to the specifications
So
of the
you-
original permit.
You're effectively saying they'll have to regrade.
Yes, that was the permit issue.
But you are also saying that you don't have sufficient evidence to suggest whether the drainage is working or not. Because you said just now in challenging Robin that the evidence presented is not
Yes.
sufficient. So would it be sensible for us to get that evidence before we decide? I'm just
Well, I
following
will,
your train of thought.
So I will, the mayor was kind enough to try to be conscious of the time, so let me now say something else on the subject.
Go ahead.
There's a motion on the table, so.
We are
which
discussing the
one do we
motion.
say?
We're
So
discussing.
you want to talk about why you're in favor of the amendment?
Yes, he's discussing the motion. Go
To
ahead.
try to convince your colleagues. That's what it's about. That's what the debate is.
So what you're saying is that if it can be demonstrated that it will drain according to a one-year rain event?
No, I'm not saying it should be. I'm saying we all don't know whether it's working or not. And you're saying you don't know.
And
I'm
because of
saying I
that-
don't know, and I'm wondering, independent of this motion, do you want to know?
To me,
But that's not.
Yeah, no, it is part of the discussion. It is part of the
No, it's not.
discussion. Yeah, it
You're
is.
Debating the motion.
I am debating the motion.
Yeah, well, then he can answer the question if he wants.
I just think that the plan should stick to where they were approved.
Okay.
Okay, is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, so it's a tie, so I'm voting for the motion to deny the application. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. The next item, consideration of a proposal by American Pools to replace exterior perimeter fencing around pool wall, creekside, wading pool fencing and gates, and composite deck entrance fencing and gates, as well as to supply and install one Suncast resin panel. Yes. What? For clean power storage, and not to exceed. The amendment was turned down. The amendment was turned down.
The amended plan.
With their request was turned down.
You want. Okay,
Okay, for pool cover storage in an amount not to exceed 52,235. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Went through this last week at the work session. And wanting to be conscious of time, won't go over everything again, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is the contractors in here?
They were here.
Okay, Council President Barr, do you have any questions?
EJ, can you explain why we haven't heard about any other people bidding on this work?
Yeah, perfect. So basically, two parts of this is, the first one is I reached out to some other companies, and never really heard back with any bids. Not quite sure why. I think it, honestly, I'm not sure why. I reached out to some, the other companies in the area, and they just. I've never seen this.
But can I ask a follow-up question?
Do you have any other questions?
So you've got no other bids, that's it. All right, that's my only question.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Kumar.
No question.
Councilor Roveth.
When are they able to start?
No exact date has been set, since there's no contract, but they said that pretty much right when the pool closes, and they finished all the like post, like covering it and everything that we stuff.
And then they anticipate that it will be able to be done before the pool opens next year.
Mhm.
And then what happens to the people who walk through that area? Just out of curiosity, do they just have, they have to go around? Cause you know, like that area is used as like a cut through to get up to that,
Yeah.
you know, Friendship Heights.
I'm not quite, I'll have to discuss that. I'm not quite sure how much, I mean, the path should remain open. But since they should be able to store all the equipment on the pool deck, basically, since the pool.
Well, I think he can get back to you. He'll ask that question to the, if you approve it, he'll ask the question. And
Okay.
did you have any other questions? Councilor Khan.
Yes, so just to be very clear, I'm trying to say what our town's procurement policy is. Are we required to bid out, or are we required to just reach out?
Oh, we're required to bid out.
So was it bid out? Like, was it put on the town's website? I mean, what is the process? What is the normal process, and was that normal process followed?
Yeah, so normal process is, well, policy flag, and also just know it, is that RFP is issued for the project. And then it has to be posted at least on the Maryland Municipal League website, the MMA, E-Market Maryland, it's like a Maryland state, a Maryland site, the town website, and then and that happens if certain criteria are met, basically, not.
So were all these steps followed?
So the problem is, Councilor Khan, that there are very few contractors who want to do work for municipalities. And so.
I understand,
it's-
I understand that,
so
but
that's-
I just want to be
so
clean
the real-
about this.
So the real issue tonight is, do you want to go with this, or do you want to continue to keep the bidding process open? But just so you know, historically, most contractors don't want to deal with municipalities. Because we're very difficult clients.
Us?
No, that's just in general.
Local government, local government.
Condominium associations,
We're so easy.
But you may want to complete answering
But
those
anyway,
questions.
no,
You
no.
have followed the process.
Yes.
effectively.
No, but we haven't put it out to bid. You haven't put it on those website, on the website there. That hasn't happened.
It went out,
Yes, it's put on all.
it went out on the E-Maryland Marketplace Advantage. And then I did not include it in the town announcements, the town residents and the town website. I did mistakenly leave it off of there.
You don't have any
That wouldn't
bidders
have
here.
anything. We do have a procurement policy, and he did follow.
But I didn't send a notice for the residents or the.
I mean, does that mean that the council is waiving?
You know, it's up
No.
to you to these are all legitimate questions. But I think, didn't we talk about this in the work session?
No, not really.
I can make a motion and then we can discuss the motion.
But I have a second, sorry, I have a second question before we get into motions. The second thing is that the chair of the Public Safety Committee had a very good recommendation, which is that before we go down the path of a very specific scope of work for the pool fence, that we should ask Montgomery County Police to do their security assessment, so that when we get the scope of work, we have the police confirming that.
Okay, well, that you can
Lines.
talk about when you debate any motion.
Yeah,
But
so-
right now, do you have any questions for?
No, so has this police assessment been done?
This place is not that, but no.
Thank you.
And they have not looked, nobody at the county has yet looked at the scope.
Okay, is any citizen?
Looks like.
Okay,
I'm sorry, we need-
Councilmember Kumar, you prepared to make a motion?
Yes, with your permission and the council presidents, I motion to approve the proposal by American Pools for said activities at the pool for an amount not to exceed 52,235.
Okay, is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, now discussion.
Yeah, well,
So now make all your arguments.
yeah, I think that is, I think it's important that we have, NCPD, take a look at our pool, and advise us on the fence and the gates and so on and so forth. So if there are any security enhancements, it's done with good professional input. I have great respect for American Pools, and I have great respect for anybody else who's involved in preparing the scope of work. But we should do this only after we've got some advice from the police department. It's a free, easy thing. They'll come and do it quickly, but we should really do this.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Just so you know, we are currently by the county rules in violation of the pool fence and the gating around the kid pool. So we are currently not meeting the county pool standards. And we were supposed to address this as part of the construction that happened, but we couldn't. So this is leftover from that planned work that we were supposed to do to meet the county requirements.
And
So-
it's also, I mean, but what we're saying is sensible, but we could actually make it a condition of the approval. We can say that we could approve the contract, provided that the
They
You
seek
can
input
make an
from
amendment. There's a motion on the table to approve the expenditure. So did you want to make an amendment?
Well, I can make an amendment to include a police assessment of the plan as part of the approval, yes.
I accept the amendment.
Okay, so Mr. Town Attorney.
He's not here. Mr. Town
Town
Attorney
Attorney is,
has abandoned us.
He left.
I thought this was for the bridge.
He's talking.
No, this is for the bridge.
The bridge will come back at the work session.
Oh, this is just for the fence.
For.
This is
actual
for the
business.
fence and the kiddie pool gate.
I would
They are
suggest,
in violation
I would
of-
suggest that
Does it
you
seem
vote
high?
this down and bring it, because it's not gonna be done before the season's over anyway. So I would suggest that you vote this down and then, because it's already on the table. And then make a motion to consider it to move it to the next, council meeting. And then we'll get all the information. Maybe. So. I was gonna.
I apologize, Mr.
It's
Mayor.
okay, no problem.
The parties looked confused, so I wanted to
I
explain the
think-
posture to
Okay,
them.
We can,
We can.
Okay, so anyway, there's a motion on the table. Is there further discussion?
Sorry, what is the motion, just to clarify?
To approve.
the motion is to approve conditional,
So is
including,
there?
sorry, the motion is to approve this,
Right.
inclusive of a condition to get the Montgomery
Wait a
County
minute, the
Police.
amendment's on the table. I'm sorry. There's an amendment.
The amendment is on the table,
I was
yes.
gonna ask the town attorney, can you restate your amendment?
The amendment was to make it. Sorry, to make it a condition of the approval that there be a police assessment of the plan prior to work beginning.
Okay, is that legal and technically sufficient?
I'm sorry.
Right,
Councilor
sorry.
Barnes,
To make it a
yes.
condition of the approval of the expenditure, that there be police assessment.
Prior to the work commencing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a second. Is there discussion on the amendment?
Well, the amendment
I
was
accept-
accepted by the
I
proposal,
accepted the
so
amendment.
it's built into the proposal now.
But
Is
he
there any-
seconded the amendment. Is there
I second
discussion on
it,
the
all right.
amendment?
Is there any discussion?
Just to clarify, so it will do a
Hearing
police
none.
assessment.
Wait,
yes.
hold on. So you go ahead.
Yeah, so just to clarify the language, it's that a police assessment is a condition of proceeding with this.
Yes, right.
Yes.
And it's the secondarily employed police that would
No.
provide the assessment, or
No,
is it?
Montgomery
The
County.
Scenic Actual Department.
Okay,
Well, but I mean, the thing is, so it's conditioned having a police assessment, but to do a police assessment, you might want to change the contract.
That is exactly what.
So I don't know that that really makes any sense.
No, I think what I'm
Because you're
understanding
approving
is.
it Because
American Pool shares the plan with the police? Is that what you're saying?
I would reach out to the police department.
why don't you say what your intention was?
Okay, my intention is the following, which is that a police assessment, if the police assessment requires a change in the contract, I expect American Wood will come back to us with some modified proposal that includes whatever change the necessary.
Okay, so Mr. Town Attorney, how are you gonna write that into the amendment?
I apologize, I missed the discussion, but could you explain how the Department of Police would be able to provide that assessment? Is it with respect to, is it just a
Well,
recommendation
they give
as
a
to
free
what?
service. Yeah, I think they give a free service, so they come and say.
Councilmember Khanna is
Yeah,
saying we're
as-
building a
as-
fence.
Yeah, so
Can
the
the
public
police
safety,
assess? Yeah.
my understanding of the public safety committee is the police provides this as a free service. Actually, it provides a free service to individual citizens, but also.
Okay.
I don't understand
Come
why.
and give an assessment of what the security weaknesses might be, what enhancements could be made. And so, since this pool is really a security feature, my
The fence,
suggestion,
you mean, the pool
sorry,
fence.
the pool fence, that it's important to have the police do a security assessment of the pool, take into account their inputs, and
Okay,
then
so-
the proposal may have to be.
Let's have
amended.
the town
And
attorney.
what input from the police would change your mind as to what you're
So,
approving?
I mean,
You might want
it's
might want a
hypothetical.
higher fence, you know.
They might say higher fence, or they might say not this style fence, or another kind of fence is worth.
Shredded glass on the top.
And, they, so.
Electric.
So-
Electric fencing.
So if the police recommend anything that's different than the proposal, then it's gonna come back to you.
This is
I would like
very
to come back.
messy, and we usually have to vote on something of this side costs and not have the vendor here. It is really a mistake. And there is no reason. So really, I urge you to turn all this down and let's move this to the next.
All right, shall we listen to the mayor?
I'm fine. with
Sure.
that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the vendor isn't here.
No, no
You're-
problem. As
there's-
long as it doesn't mess up the timing.
All right, I move that.
Okay,
we-
hold on,
We
hold on.
can-
Does it mess up the timing of
We
it?
can have, if necessary, we'll have a special meeting just to vote on.
Will it be a whole month's delay? then?
No, if necessary, we'll have the town manager will assess the situation. And if necessary, we will have a special meeting. We will have a special meeting. But this is
Maybe on
too,
September 15th, when we have our work session, we can have a.
we can always have a special meeting some
Yeah,
noon
could
for
we,
one
could
item.
we aim to do that? So to Shannon's point, we do start on time and.
I'll reach out
Ahead of
to
the winter
police.
months.
I am concerned about the current non-compliance.
So I move that we table the motion indefinitely then.
Well,
since-
wait a minute, you have to vote down, there's an amendment on, is there further discussion on the amendment, which I suggest you vote down?
All right.
All those in favor, all those opposed, you're all opposed. Now, so now it's the motion to approve the 52,000. Is there further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
No,
All those, so that voted down, okay, and we will bring it back as soon as possible with all of your excellent concerns. Okay, the next item, consideration of the adoption of an ordinance to amend the definition of the established building line, add requirements for driveway aprons and curb cuts, delete unnecessary provisions, to change instances of clerk, treasurer to town manager, revise the standards for variance and clarify existing provisions. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This ordinance has been the subject of many work sessions and council meetings. So I won't go over everything again. I will note that it was last discussed at the work session last week. And then, and I have not received any resident comments.
And there's no one online? Thank you.
Okay, Council President Barr, any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Kumar,
None.
Councilmember Robo,
No.
Councilmember Khan,
No.
and there's no one online. Council, prepared to make a motion.
I move that we adopt an ordinance to amend the definition of the established building line, add requirements for driveway aprons and curb cuts, delete unnecessary provisions, to change instances of clerk treasurer to town manager, revise the standards for variance, clarify existing provisions.
I second
Is
it.
there a second? Is there just, hearing none, all this in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And our last item is consideration of a motion to institute a safe sidewalk stay as proposed by the Parks and Natural Resources Committee, Public Safety Committee, Equity Inclusion Committee, Pool Committee, and Swim Team Committee, Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as the memo says, multiple committees came together on this important issue of sidewalk safety. And the basic recommendations are that the town council implement a safe sidewalk day, where prior to this day, the town would have an information campaign and inform property owners that we're doing this. And then on the day of, we would cut any non-compliant vegetation encroaching to the town's sidewalk right away. And I'll also note that multiple emails that have been added to the packet were submitted in support of this proposal, as well as a public comment earlier. And I'll also note that the chair that kind of led the charge on this was Josh Rosenthal, chair of the Parks and Natural Resources Committee, and he is on the Zoom meeting.
Okay, Councilor Barr, Council President Barr, do you have any questions?
I have no question. I mean, I'll certainly support this. It's just a question of whether we should have an article in Town Journal on it at the same time. Oh, I'm asking. What do other people think?
Well, hold on, right now your question was to.
All right, well, so
But we can,
whatever. I mean,
the Town Journal is, so you're suggesting that if this passes, there's time to put it in the Town Journal?
I think we should put it.
Yeah, well, it's, yeah. It'll be in there.
But yes, I'm in favor of it.
Okay,
That's it.
Councilor Kumar, do you have any questions?
No.
Councilor Rovak,
No,
Councilor O'Connor,
No questions.
okay, and did, I think Chair wanted to. Chair Rosenthal, did you wish to, comment on this, motion?
Obviously, I'm in support of it, and I think that it can be, we can present it in, just like you're saying, in the newsletter, as well as letting people know ahead of time. We can, as I wrote in the proposal, combine it with any other type of environmentally friendly, mobility friendly, inclusive events, and then soon thereafter, cut back all vegetation to a compliant standard. I believe that's 1 foot away from the edge of the sidewalk and up 8 feet.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for, bearing with us tonight and, testifying. We appreciate it. Is that the? Okay, Councilor, prepare to make a motion.
Yes, I move that we institute a safe sidewalks day as proposed by several committees.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? Hearing none. all those-
Sorry, so just gonna ask a question, just for discussion here. Are we talking about instituting it this year? I mean, does that need to be clear in
As soon as
the,
possible. I think it's an open
or is it
material.
is it an open, or rather open-ended thing that may or may not happen?
It's just to approve it and
Yeah.
we will schedule. it.
in 2032.
Yeah, I want to be very clear that this is for 2025.
We're gonna, this is just authorizing, but we will continue to put pressure on us.
Well,
We
if
will
you,
get it.
do you want to make an amendment?
I do. wish
Okay,
to
go,
make an
go for
amendment.
it.
So
Go
that's,
for
so
it.
my amendment is that we adopt, we institute a safe sidewalks day in 2025.
Okay, is
As
there,
proposed by, et cetera, et cetera.
okay, good. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Sure.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And
On the
now-
amendment.
And now the motion as amendment, is there further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you, excellent.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Excellent
you.
job.
Thank you.